from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, and today I got Dimitri and Janet in the house from World Anvil. How are you folks doing today?
Good.
Hello, everybody. Really
It's
good.
like
Actually.
it's like evening or afternoon now, right?
It is afternoon.
Yeah, it's like 5 o'clock there.
5 o'clock, yeah.
5 o'clock somewhere is like right there. So, and you guys are out of the UK.
Yeah,
Yes, in
that's
London.
right. Where the
Nice.
sun has finally come out for the first time in about 7 months.
We have over 10 degrees. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a
a
change.
Well, today in New Jersey we've been rather rainy.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
It happens. It happens. What are you gonna do?
Oh yeah.
Mother Nature's insane. Like the other day, it was like super warm and grayed out, and then the temperature dropped by like 40 degrees. So,
Oh yeah. We have chickens in our garden, and there were 2 days when it was sunny after this really cold spell, and the chickens were like, "It's spring," and they laid 14 eggs, and then it started raining. Nothing.
yeah,
Yeah.
They've had spring. They've done spring. They're not interested anymore.
yeah, they're like false alarm, false alarm.
Yes,
Right,
exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
Go
Back
back,
to the coop.
yeah, back to the coop. So, chickens aside, we're here to talk about World Anvil. You guys have been on fire. You've grown,
Yeah.
you've grown by 10, 15 fold since the last time I've seen you guys.
It is true, actually. Since we last talked, World Anvil went from 3,000 people back then to 46,000 today,
46,000.
actually. Today, yeah. So we're growing very steadily and very, I wouldn't say quickly. I mean, people would say quickly, but I would say we're growing nicely. And I think that the community is growing even nicer than the numbers on the website, in the idea of we're so lucky to have created a community of about almost 3,000 people in Discord right now, and everybody is so friendly and so creative and so helpful to each other,
Yeah.
which is something to be very, very proud of, I think.
Yeah, it's a very genteel community. Like
Yes.
they're very good to each other, which is fantastic. And kind of what we dreamed of, really.
Yeah.
That that is the great thing about I know, I know the RPG community. I know you guys have a lot of those folks in there. Where online, I know people who don't like going on YouTube into the comment section, because they consider it like the lowest of low places you go. But I find like in RPG community, they're actually pretty decent.
Ironically, fewer trolls in the RPG community.
Yes, so we're pretty fortunate. We're pretty fortunate there. So what are some of the big changes you guys made? I mean, I'm sure you guys have probably completely overhauled things since the last time I've talked to you.
We did. I have to admit that we've done a lot of changes, and a lot more changes are coming in the weeks to come. I would say that one of the biggest changes, of course, that probably everybody noticed so far, is the fact that now World Anvil is no longer just a world building website, but we're a campaign manager, a fully fledged campaign manager for RPGs, and that from the point of being implied that we're doing RPGs, now we are in our core. And of course, we still have people that use the World Anvil node for RPGs, and that's more than okay, of course. But I think that most of the people in the community right now, about 80%, 85%,
Yeah.
are people that one way or another are into RPGs,
Yeah.
and they're working with that.
So I guess
yeah.
we kind of started going into like the changes, but let's back up a little bit, just in case someone who is watching doesn't actually know what World Anvil is.
Of course. So World Anvil is an online application that allows authors and role players and storytellers and creatives of any world, and artists, of course, of any type, to create their own imaginary worlds and put them in a beautiful location that they can be easily accessible, organized, searched, and developed.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way of actually saying it.
And I want to share something that kind of came out on the first live chat we did, and that was how World Anvil came about. It was kind of like a little bit of a love letter to Janet there, because and Demetrius making the rest of us look really bad. But yeah, you're a writer, a novelist, and you're having trouble keeping things straight and tracking things, and so Dimitri created this program to help you do it, and then you're like, oh, this is really great, and then you guys decided to share it with the world. So.
And yeah, I'm actually very, very happy to say that World Anvil the last months or so actually helped you do some progress. Like Janet went from being on the first draft to now writing your final draft, right? And you're like 3/4 in almost?
Yeah, 3/4 in.
So that's quite some progress
So,
there.
yeah, well, I went from an outline that wasn't finished to like almost a book.
Almost a book now, so
which is
great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And when you consider how much work I now have to do for Masters Monthly, that's pretty extraordinary.
Yeah.
So you're here testifying it works.
Yeah, it works. It really does. It's the thing, you know, like to keep everything straight, to be able to find everything instantly. It's just amazing. Thank you, honey.
You're welcome, my sweet. But no, jokes aside, I think that we built the tool, and the last month discovered that no matter how good you think you know the tool, that we have an extra guest now, no matter how good you think that the tool you've created is, the community will give you the inspiration, the help, and the ideas that you can never hope to have by yourself. And I have to say that although I am building World Anvil as a sole developer at this point, the ideas don't just come from me anymore. I think that the community and our patrons more than contributing to what World Anvil is. I forget the name of my website. And you cannot imagine how many great ideas you get from a community that wants to work together.
Yeah.
So do you guys know how many worlds are being built at the moment?
Yes, 60,000 worlds at this point.
Oh wow! See now, when I I'm like, all right, well, if the community is 46,000, there's always going to be people that sign up for things. They lurk. They don't do anything.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
But
we have many people who write a lot of worlds as well.
Yeah, so our highest tier of users have infinite worlds.
Well, they are big. We have
infinite worlds. I'm sorry. So yeah, they can have as many worlds as they want, and they really take advantage of that. And you see this like amazing sort of panoply of different beautiful things, all from the same authors. It's incredible.
Yeah. But as Janet said, there are many authors who are very proactive, and they will write plenty of worlds. Some of them use them as a place for them to put notes about all worlds they created, and they want to continue at some point. We get very often the comment that World Anvil gave them the opportunity to continue on projects they never thought they would actually ever continue with. And lately, now with the RPG features, we get a lot of people who say, I'm putting back my notes from previous campaigns, because one of the big differences that World Anvil has as a system compared to other campaign managers that came before us is that we kind of reverse the idea that you build a campaign setting and then you play. You start a game and you build a campaign setting on it. In World Anvil, you build a world and then you play as many campaigns as you want in it. And that changes a bit the idea of how you build your things, because you know that once you build in World Anvil, you might use it again for the next campaign, and with different parties maybe as well.
Which means all the effort you put into your homebrew, you use it again and again and again, and campaigns can be history for the next campaign. Like a big world history or small local history, depending on the scale. But yeah, that means that you make the maximum use of your work.
And we in fact have a lot of people who play multiple campaigns at the same time on the same world at this point, which is I'm surprised.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I don't even have time to run one.
Keep it straight as well. But they can.
Now, Patrick Keller said, "What about GM binder competitions and complementary?" Now, I do know you guys have done world building competitions, right?
We do world building. We have actually 2 official competitions every month.
2 big ones, yeah.
2 big ones every month, and most of the times actually we end up we have way more than 2 every month, because we run a monthly competition for the community. We run a monthly competition for our patrons only on Masters and above. We have some flash fiction competitions that run once probably a month, but now lately, the last week or so, we saw the rise of users who run their own competitions as well in World Anvil. And it becomes more and more.
As well.
Exactly, provide prizes. Like many of our bigger patrons and bigger tier patrons that they have the ability to have apprentices, essentially put their apprentices into competitions. And in order to inspire people who come to the community to build more and to have something to be rewarded with, that will be also, helping them to continue with their work.
So Scott says in the chat, you guys have a sectional tectonic plates?
How do you mean? A section of tectonic plates? Well, I can tell you right now that there is a secret article that will be arriving soon about tectonic plates, but that's a different issue altogether.
Yes.
I can tell you right now that if you want to learn about tectonic plates, go right now to Artefaction's channel in YouTube.
Yeah.
And he has uploaded about a month ago one amazing video about it.
Two. The second one's up.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. They're really, really good.
Yeah. So,
yeah, I just know someone in the chat says they have a cool section on tectonic plates that I saw. Maybe that's it. Could be that way, or it's also community driven. So if someone put that up there, it'd be there.
It's perfectly possible that somebody else has posted something about
we
tectonics.
saw the rise the last 2 months as well of people who don't write the worlds, but they create world building resources material as a world.
Yeah, so they use it as a blogging device to create world-building resources, essentially, which is amazing. It's kind of meta, but it's really cool.
Yeah, we know of a member of the community, TJ, which is also one of our enchanters, who is writing his final project for his college in World Anvil because he's doing it on world building. So it's actually being used as an academic material as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
actually,
wow.
Universities sending their students to us as well.
Yes, we did have actually the funny thing to people come to us and say, oh yes, my teacher told us, or my university professor told us to actually come here because we're doing creative writing and that's a good tool for us to use, and that's amazing kind of thing.
Oh, Anna B says, I think they're thinking of the natural law category section, which can be used for tectonics and stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So natural laws is like any like if your gravity is different, or if you've got like special tectonics or magic or psionics or midichlorians or like whatever you're dealing with, if it's a law that affects the whole planet or the whole cosmos or whatever, it's a natural law. So yeah, that's exactly where tectonics would go.
So I imagine, it's such a huge project with 60,000 campaign worlds going on and so many people using it. It must be a nightmare to police, like to keep stuff off your site maybe you don't want there, or is it kind of like the Wild Wild West?
Well, two things on that. First of all, we are lucky enough to have an amazing team of moderators.
Shout out to the mods
who take care of that. But also, we are very open in what content can be put there. And we told people, if you want to put, for example, not safe for work material, you should put it, but mark it as not safe for work. Because if you do mark it as not safe for work, people that don't have activated the filters won't be able to see it.
Okay.
As simple as that. Because we do want people to...
We don't want to censor people. But we also want it to be a safe environment.
And of course, there are limitations and there are things that you should not be putting because they're illegal. I mean, we're not even going to go there. Yeah. But when it comes to everything that might be legal, for example, or like gore or something that can be very descriptive and very explicit, for example, we can still put it there. And we do have actually some really beautiful red light district type world. No, really, I'm not even kidding, actually. There is actually, I think, a world which is beautifully designed by one of our illustrators in the community, which is called Red Light District. And it's beautiful, like great prose, great design. But of course, it's explicit. It's a world that is not supposed to be seen by anybody underneath the age of 18. Yeah. Because, not good content for them.
Yeah, exactly. It's not appropriate. Yeah.
Well, I just know as a fellow content creator and we own a website, there's just always bad neighborhoods on the internet that you want to keep away from your website because it does damage and harm.
Yeah, definitely.
To your website.
We're lucky enough so far. And the community is very self-policing without being thought police, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, which is good. We are lucky on that, I guess. Yeah. Honestly, we are lucky in so many things. We're incredibly blessed at this point, I would have to say.
So do you guys have your own favorite worlds that people have created or favorite creators? Or do you not want to say?
Hard. Well, I can tell you that I do have favorites. I mean, it is hard not to have favorites, but I can tell you also that my favorites grow by the day because every time you go to the website, you're going to find something new. That's one of the new things that we introduced to the website since we last talked. Now the website is actually also a community. We have a page that you're going to see all the latest...
the most recent articles.
The most recent articles.
The most highly voted articles.
And also the most liked articles as well, and the most commented articles.
Yeah.
And that works as a discovery mechanism. You go there and you find new worlds every day, which is, I think...
Yeah, you can be inspired by each other's work, which is really the idea. I have to say, though, because I judge this Masters Monthly competition every month, It's one of the competitions, the 2 competitions we do every month, and it's the one for the patrons. And the thing is, when these entries started out, they were good, they were pretty solid. Some were better than others, but they were all pretty good. And now the level is just extraordinary. Like, the level of world building on World Anvil has gone so high, and particularly the level of the things submitted for competitions. They're so polished. This is stuff that you would read in books and be like, wow, good author.
Like, we have specifically one user who, if you measure the amount of material he submitted to competitions the last 2 months, he wrote over a novel. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, and the quality is, again, very, very high.
Like over 50,000 words for his competitions only. Like, I'm not thinking about the other work he's doing. But generally speaking, I'll put it that way. On Saturday, we announced the winners for the community competition, and for the first time, we had to award the winner to 2 people because nobody could decide.
Yeah, because there was nothing in it. They were both such
they were both so excellent articles.
That's awesome. And sometimes you see things like that, and you're like, oh man, what am I doing with my life? These people are getting so much done.
I know, right? I know. You cannot imagine how bad I feel. Like, you know what they say, that he who doesn't teach, that's how I feel. Yeah, that's how I feel, because now I'm reading the thing that people are creating, and I said, oh my God. And I considered myself at some point to be a world builder. And I'm like, I am so horrible at this thing. These people are amazing. I should go hide in a hole and just pretend I'm doing things by developing World Anvil. That's pretty much it.
So, folks in the chat, if you have any questions, just put question in front of it. It makes it easier for us to pick them out. And feel free to ask questions. If you're thinking about using World Anvil, or you're using World Anvil and you want to know something, these would be the folks to ask.
Definitely. So, anything you need and everything you need. So,
what's coming next?
What's coming next? A lot of things come actually next. There is a very huge list. In fact, there is a list of about 700 features now waiting to be done. And I think that in the very recent weeks, like the next 2 weeks, we're expecting to see another 8 new templates to come out. Which people are very excited about. Everything from a calendar system, and there are so many. The spell, for example. Spell templates was something that was really desired.
Yeah, well, I mean, the minute we brought out the campaign manager, everyone was like, spells. We need to make spells. We need custom spells. We need them now. We need them now.
Yes, exactly.
We're like, oh, okay, crap, okay.
Yes. One of other things that is really expected from us to do, and we will be doing very soon, is the ability to have the ability to export your world, which I think is really required, and it's needed as well.
Yeah.
For people to be able to play when they want to play offline and they don't have World Anvil available, or to make them feel more comfortable when they're going away for holidays, for example, they want to have their stuff with them or whatever. Exactly. And of course, to give the ability for people who want to stop using World Anvil to keep their stuff.
To keep their content,
because it is their content. That's always the case. And we say that once again, whatever you do in World Anvil, we have zero copyright ownership on it. It's yours above everything else. Yeah. We're also going to be developing a new map system. So we will be allowing people to have multi-layers on their maps. They're going to have new markers and new pins to add and different things like that. And I think that I'm really excited actually about the secret kind of system that we'll be building soon, which is the ability to create random rolling tables, like the ones you would have in Dungeons Master Guide, for example. So people can go there and create their own treasure drops or anything else they want to create a random generator, and then use them in the campaign manager while they're playing their sessions. Because now when you're playing a session, you can always see you can see the characteristics of your players, you can see your nodes, you can see everything else you have in your world very easily and very quickly. But I think that the idea of being able to roll very quickly for treasure or find encounters that you create, it's going to be also very important for people.
And the to-do and the tutorial articles, tutorial videos.
Tutorial videos, yeah, that's actually an ongoing project. Yeah, because we grew quite quickly to the point that it is time now to start explaining what the things that you see there are. We do have a help channel in Discord, and if you need any help and you have any questions, you can always go there and ask, and there are always people to help you. But having a video there would always be easier for everyone. You know, like here you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Check it out. Learn how to do things.
So, are you guys going to be doing any conventions?
We'd like to. Wouldn't
We'd
we?
like to. We definitely have one for this year, because honestly, when we started last year in October, we never thought we'd be growing that quickly.
Yeah.
So we know for a fact that we'll be doing one convention this year, which is called Dragon Meet in London in December, just so we can celebrate essentially a year of the website and to get our feet a bit wet, because, you know, it's the first time we do that. We haven't done a convention before.
Yeah,
but,
we know there'll be a learning curve as well.
yeah, and hopefully I really hope that next year maybe we can even come to the US for a convention.
That'd be awesome.
Or even meet you there.
Yeah, that'd definitely be cool.
Yeah.
Is Dragon Meet, is that one of the bigger ones in the
Dragon
UK?
Meet is a big convention in London. It's not a huge one. It's made by Mofidus, the company that does Star Trek and does some of the big games essentially in Europe. It has a good amount of people that are coming there, and it's not as big as the Game UK convention, which we also want to do at some point, but it's quite big. Yeah.
Oh, nice. We also want to try and do some conventions abroad as well. The Nerdarchy World Tour, as we affectionately refer to it.
That sounds amazing.
I think we have something very similar brewing as well.
Yeah. One of these days. So Tea Time with Toby wants to know, when building a world, I've heard a lot of talk on building in and building out, but the main problem I'm having is how to write the world history and factions and continents. You know, one of the things we were talking about before we even got it started was the prompt system. And if you guys want to talk about that a little bit, because I think that's a really useful tool.
Yeah. First of all, to answer to our friend, we know timelines are one of the hardest things to build on a world and one of the most important things. That's why we, in fact, since we last talked, developed and spent about 20 days building the new timelines feature, which now allows you to have multiple eras and separate your world in that, and have like eras that run in parallel with each
so
other.
you can have parallel timelines. So, for example, building the timelines for different continents. You could have a timeline for one continent and a timeline for another continent.
Or a race.
Or different planets or whatever you fancy. And it will track parallelesque. We'll track parallel. So that you can keep track of everything, basically. You can also have timelines on your articles.
Yes.
Which means that you can sort of track things in small scale and bigger scale.
Yeah, like for your nation, or your country, your hero. But to go back to prompts, we know that it's difficult. Everybody has went into an application or their notepad, and they see the empty page or the blank piece of paper.
White page syndrome, yeah.
Yeah, and they're terrified. And we want to help with that as much as we can. Our templates are built in a way that will always ask you questions. When you go to create a new organization, a new country, a new character, you are not just left there, on your own devices. I mean, you could if you wanted to.
Yeah, you can ignore everything on there, but it'll ask you questions like, how do people deal with this, or like, where does the water come from, that kind of stuff. So, like, the key questions that are usually relevant, whatever kind of genre you're writing, whatever kind of species or whatever you're writing.
And the feedback we get from people is that it helps.
Yeah.
It helps them start. And on top of that, now we have a major project that we're actually involved with, which is called 1,000 Prompts. Major project, indeed. Which the target is to create 1,000 prompts for world builders and role players that will allow you to just randomly choose one. We will actually have a random generator in World Anvil to allow you to find randomly a prompt to help you going and to give you an idea of what to write today. But our goal is to get these 1,000 prompts, create a small booklet, give it out to everybody for free, so they can enjoy, they can have it with them, and be inspired in many ways. And we would like to use this for pay as much as you want, including nothing. Of course, it's going to be for free, but all the process will go to charity, because we want, as a community, because it's not built by us. We will be taking care of it, and we will be actually using the amazing enchanters team we have, community moderators essentially we have, to edit it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it will be the work of the community. And we want our community as World Anvil to
be a force for good.
Exactly. And to impact positively in the world.
Do you guys have a charity picked out already?
No, but that will be again in the community, because we will come up the community and we'll say, okay, now we are done, guys. We're ready to publish. Where do we want to give the money?
We'll find something appropriate, but
yeah,
we'll be looking for suggestions on that one from the community, basically.
So the Mighty Hob has an interesting question. I find it kind of interesting on a lot of different levels, but do you have access to the worlds that users want to keep private? And I imagine...
No, it's a big problem, because when somebody finds a bug, they literally have to make me a co-author so I can actually go see what's happening.
Oh, okay. Well,
so it is a harder process for me to fix the problem, but on the other hand, we can guarantee that we really don't have access to your
If it's private, we cannot see it. It is your own business.
So I kind of wonder, though, if that creates problems for you as the owner of the site, if people use that feature to put things there that shouldn't be there, or...
Well,
the minute they're public, we can see them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So also if something is private, should be private, and our copyright policy protects people from that. Not only we guarantee that nobody will be able to take, of course, things from your world, but we wanted always to make sure that if for some reason, even if you have a public world, somebody comes and copies your work and claims it as their own, we will be able to provide you, as long as you allow us to, in a public world, backups that are in what we call glacier storage, so we can actually guarantee that it was never tampered with, and show to somebody, yes, actually this article was written, for example, 5 months ago. The person
proof of authenticity of the author, essentially.
Due to date.
Yeah.
Essentially.
So that's for public articles. For private articles, nobody can see them.
Unless you make them a co-author or you give them subscription access to them.
Yeah, so if you want to share your private stuff with other private people, that's fine. You can do that. But we still can't see it.
Yeah. And if somebody breaks the law in there and somebody finds out, they can always follow the proper takedown DMCA, essentially, and, take it from there.
Yeah, that's the part I was kind of curious about, like that if someone breaks the law or does something in this private areas, and how that does affect you guys as the owners, and it's
we don't take ownership over the content.
Yeah.
And thus, we are protected by the fact that it's not our content, so nobody can actually sue us. They can tell us that you have to take it down,
which we would.
Which we will, of course, if they provide essentially a way for us to verify that this is their content, essentially. Yeah. That is one of the reasons that because many people ask us, why don't you allow for direct linking for images? And the answer that I give to that is that if I allow you to put into your article an image of somebody by linking directly to their page, I have no way to remove the image without deleting your article. And that's why we don't allow you to actually do that. What you can do is upload the image, and if somebody finds the fact that the image is theirs and they want to take it down, I can just take down the image, not your whole article. Because by law, I would have to, because I cannot actually change it, to delete it.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so as a fellow content creator and owner of properties on the net, I'm always curious about that kind of stuff. I'm sure everyone else listening is probably bored out of their mind, but
yeah.
I think anybody who creates wants to know that their stuff is safe,
Yeah.
And that's what we can say. That's what we can actually say, exactly. Tell them that we will be there to protect them if we can, and we'll be there to protect not only the people who write in Worldbuilding, but also every single artist that found their work online.
Yeah.
I think that's
like Cerberus.
Now, Charles Cole had a question about working offline, or downloading things to use it offline. You guys already covered that, so we know that
not offline, but soon. But we'll definitely be able to export.
It's coming.
To exporting in HTML.
Yeah.
Probably even earlier in JSON if you want to use it somewhere else.
In who?
In
JSON.
Okay. Yeah. No,
JSON.
It's not a name. It's okay.
Does he have Argonauts?
No, he doesn't have it. And later on, probably in PDF as well.
Argonauts is so bad. So Charles calls another question. Can you back up your world information on local computer to have backup if something happens to the data stored on your servers?
So first of all, data is not stored in our server. The data is stored every 4 hours in about 16 locations around the world in encoded data by Amazon. So even if the server burns and like the bush essentially and takes fire, your data is safe 100%. It's not
You're safe until the Amazon uprising, basically.
You're safe until the end of the world, literally, unless the apocalypse comes and everything is being destroyed, or we have a huge EMP wave that takes down the whole of the internet.
Zombies eat Amazon.
Your world is safe.
In which case, there'll probably be bigger problems.
That sounds expensive. Aria wants to know, if I publish, can I use my World Anvil World as an official Wikipedia of sorts? And that's exactly the point, right?
Yes, exactly. It's like your book Bible for when you're writing, if you're writing novels or whatever. So you can use it to during the writing process, and actually during the publishing process. If you're publishing chapters or if you publish all at once, it's a great way to let your readers or your supporters to really see all the building behind your world.
And I think that's something that it's very important to mention, because I think we're talking about it more in the past, but not so much anymore because we're just very busy, is that our dream is for the content creators on the website to find ways and to help them find ways to make money out of their world. It is because you are creatives, whoever is a world builder, you are creatives of an amazing and unique type of people that are able to create worlds. Think about that. Only gods and you create worlds.
Gods and nerds.
Gods and nerds, exactly. So we want people to be able to monetize in one more than ways than another, and that's why if you ever become our patron, if you notice essentially the way that it works, the subscriptions that you are allowed to have are enough for you to make more money than the money that you actually give to us.
Yeah.
And that will always be the case. If you manage to monetize, and we will be creating videos about how you can do that in World Anvil, and you will be making more money than you will ever be giving to us.
Yeah, so just very quickly, if, for example, you have a Patreon supporting you and you're publishing chapter by chapter, you can allow some of your patrons, or all of your patrons, depending on how many subscribers you can have, to have access to the world building behind your writing.
And on the other hand, if you are a world builder and you're building, for example, a campaign setting that you want people to see, you can give part of your world to the public for everybody to see.
Yeah.
But you could also, for example, have specific locations of your world only accessible to DMs, because that, I think, is something very unique. When somebody is writing a guide for their world, let's say somebody was writing the Forgotten Realms or the Forgotten Kingdoms, whatever you want to call it. When you write a book, players and storytellers know the same story.
Yeah, they all have access to the same information.
Exactly. In World Anvil, you can actually create subscriber groups and give to people specific access to specific things. So you can have a DM level, for example, access that will give to your storytellers that play this campaign setting access to things that nobody else will know.
So privileged information, secrets,
plots, for example,
exactly.
Secret societies,
this kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly, or even adventures, which actually we also start people to say.
And again, it would be a way to the subscribers would eventually be a way for people to publish campaign settings within their worlds, and have that big world network of links and information and everything,
or even
then have a campaign within it,
or even support their own books. Like one of the ideas we were talking about with some people starting a Kickstarter right now is, think about that. You start a Kickstarter and you want to give something to your people in addition to the book. So you can give a book out, you can print, you have a PDF book, a soft cover, hardcover book, but in addition to that, you can allow them, for example, to have a year subscription in World Anvil. That will give them the ability not only to have every errata you'll ever create for your world right in their hands, but you'll also allow them with just typing 3 letters to have access to every single article you have ever written for your world.
Yeah, so it's fully text.
Interconnected as well.
Yeah.
So it's a different way of publishing your work as a world builder and as a storyteller.
Yeah, and in a way it's more utilizable than a book.
Yeah, exactly.
So kind of going back to what we were talking about before, Aria wants to know if someone does it take down multiple times, can we be banned? Like, from what I'm hearing, if someone gets a takedown, it's because they're putting things up that are illegal, and essentially you're a criminal at that point. And if you do it over and over again, you're a habitual criminal.
It's never happened to us yet, has it?
Yeah, no, we literally don't have
We've got
a
such
single.
a nice community.
Yeah, we have not a single takedown so far.
I think if people were repeatedly doing things that were illegal, like if If they did it once and didn't know, fine. Somehow. But, I mean, yeah, if people were doing things that were detrimental to the community, they'd get a sharp whack on the nose, wouldn't they?
But we won't ban you per se for putting something up that is not yours. If somebody comes and tells us that it's not yours and you should put it down, then we'll definitely put it down. If that becomes a legal issue between you and the creator, that is your own subject and your own problem. It's not a matter of us unless we have to take legal measures because you've done something illegal. For example, like, I don't know, selling drugs through Old Anvil. I mean, that will, yes, we will ban you.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Various activities. Then you'd be banned, yeah.
Which only makes sense, because who wants those people in their community?
Right, exactly.
Exactly.
And we're so strongly about the community, formed by the community, you know, influenced by the community, and trying to make it for the community that, like, it's not even a question for us.
So the Mighty Hobbs asked the question that you guys already answered. Can you make certain parts of the world public and other parts private? You kind of addressed that already. Heather wants to know, will the process of creating stat blocks be given more detailed tutorials at any point? You guys said you wanted to do more tutorials. And you know what?
With my face.
Someone had also asked about... I thought someone had asked about something about PDFs, and I kind of lost it. Sorry, person who asked that. But I think the gist of what they were asking was, will they eventually be able to turn things from World Anvil into like a PDF?
Look, if you want to have your content as a PDF, yes, we will have export. It won't look like a ready-made book because you should not be using World Anvil as a ready-made book. You should be going to somebody like Adobe and creating, taking a proper tool to do that. But what we will be doing, and I think that's going to be very useful, is that if you were putting your content in World Anvil and you want to have an export of the raw text in order to use it for your publishing, yes, you will be getting it in a format that will be very easily accessible for you to put in a book.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because of one of the questions in the chat. Because of bringing up the when you said about selling drugs. In one of my campaigns, there was a villain that was harvesting the glands of troglodytes to make a drug called stank.
Good business. Yeah. That's a good business.
I mean, the only problem was if you went without the drugs for too long, you turned into a troglodyte.
Okay, yeah, that's a downside.
It is definitely a downside.
There is always a downside, isn't there?
So DF Don wants to know, let's say hook horrors play heavily in my world. They are property of Wizards of the Coast. How does that work?
Well, again, that is a matter of Wizards of the Coast. From experience and from what we've seen so far, Wizards of the Coast won't go down and hunt down people who are using the content for their campaigns. If you start selling your content and saying it's yours, I'm pretty sure that Wizards of the Coast will take offense.
Yeah.
It's that simple as that.
I think the place where that's going to be problematic, or at least people are going to have to worry about it, is like you said, you want to make ways for the creators to be able to monetize their stuff. Well, if you're a creator and you're monetizing your stuff, you better know what you're allowed to do and how to do it and not.
Exactly.
We're kind of going through that same process ourselves with certain products, and we're lucky enough to have someone who's on our team that's very anal about that stuff and making sure, that all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted. Where some of us might be a little more willy-nilly. So, but like you guys said, it's kind of between the creator and whoever stuff they're using.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we're happy to provide information about when things were published or whatever else, but people need to be responsible about what they use.
And I think that there is a very good framework nowadays for you to know what you can use and what not. I mean, the last, how many years now? 10 years, we have the whole rise of the SRD, right? All the major systems already tell you, what? These are the things that you can actually use from what we've made.
Yeah.
And it is crystal clear. It's not even, it doesn't leave any
not a shadow of doubt.
Exactly, not a shadow of doubt of what you can use and what not.
So, are you actually getting to play any games now that you're so deep into World Anvil? I can't imagine with working like 14 hours a day.
Actually, Actually, we have one, and
Well,
it was
one and a bit.
one and a bit. But there was a reason for it. First of all, because I wanted initially to test how the campaign management works, because there is no better way of knowing if something works or not unless you use it yourself.
Yeah.
And that developed to my moderators and some people closer to the team to convincing me to keep on that. So I have a game that I storytell once every 2 weeks on a Sunday afternoon. So I don't work on a Sunday. In the morning, I'm doing some world building and some preparation work. And on Sunday at 3 o'clock until 6 o'clock, it's my golden hours of being a storyteller for 3 hours every 2 weeks. It's not a lot of time, but it's something. So
you gotta get someone else to run for you, so you can just totally veg and just have that Sunday to enjoy.
Yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice. But it's true that I'm having trouble detaching myself from coding, because I feel so passionate about continuing this project. I feel so passionate about creating more things for people. So getting Janet to get me out of my chair and doing anything else,
chisel,
it's difficult. Yesterday, as Janet said, we had a friend of ours who's also a moderator in the community who literally came in our door and said, right, you're not working today, we're going out. And I was like, okay. And that's pretty much how it works. That's the only way you can actually get me out of my chair and stop me from working, is coming here and dragging me from the ear, saying, we're going out now. It was nice. We ate pizza.
It's all right. It's nothing wrong with some light kidnapping every once in a while.
Very true. Very true.
On a side note, a disclaimer, Nerdarchy does not condone kidnapping or the use of gorilla tape inappropriately or white panel vans.
Except as a literary device.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that's kind of a conversation that has come up a couple times with different people we work with. Is people that create content and writers. We all I think end up on some kind of government watch list for the different things that we're searching.
Oh God, yes! The amount of times how to poison somebody.
How long does it take for the human body to drain?
Yeah.
I need to know. There's reasons.
What happens to a dead body when you hang it upside down? Shouldn't be searching these things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
I think they probably have a tag in their system, like, don't worry, he's a storyteller, kind of thing. It's
also search for
author.
Grammar. Not a problem.
So tea time with Toby. I'm starting a world with World Anvil. I'm at the first step page. Would it be possible feature in the future to have random generators for the introduction vignettes? And you kind of said you want to do random generators.
Yeah.
In the meantime, there is Chartopia that does a lot of that, has a lot of random tables on there, and you can create them yourselves.
Yeah, the feature we're actually building will be very close to what Chartopia is doing. The difference is that it will be more ingrained into World Anvil, because it will allow you, for example, to connect articles to your random generation.
Yeah, so if you have an article of an item, like the Holy Orb of Cat Bum, for example, don't look at me like that.
Okay.
Could be a thing. You can have that as a treasure within your thing, and you just link in the article of the Holy Orb, and then it's there.
Yeah, but yeah, it's very true. And also, I'll tell you what, if you're writing your vignettes, I would suggest that you don't use random generator, because specifically for this part. Now, I mean, I would say that you can use random generators to do a lot of the things, but especially for your vignette, write something you feel really passionate about, because that will be the cornerstone of everything you're going to write in your world.
Yeah, that's the germ.
Yeah,
the idea.
Even if you're going top to bottom or bottom to top, it doesn't really matter. You have to have your concept very close to your heart and to be very passionate about it.
Yeah.
So don't just leave a random generator to do the work for you for that specifically.
Yeah.
So Aria wants to know, now that Patreon goal is filled, will there be a special community event?
Oh, good question.
Good question. We said before that we want to keep very careful on that, because as content creators and as people who use Patreon, we know very well that the goal is met today, but by the end of next month might not be the case. But I can tell you that if by the 5th of the next month we're over the goal, yes, we will have a small event happening, that's for sure. And we will be doing a lot of something we've actually done in the past as well. We'll be doing some raffles.
Oh.
Why not? And yeah, we'll be giving some content essentially to people for free.
Yay!
So I know you said you can't like you can't use links into the videos for or into the articles for images, but you can upload directly.
Yes.
What about other features like videos? Or...
Oh, you can do it already. So that's one of the things we built about a month ago. You can connect Spotify lists. You can link videos, YouTube videos on your.
No, you can embed.
You can embed, your YouTube videos on your profile, and we have many people actually. We start thinking using the features very creatively. Like we have people who create mood for their articles by connecting either Spotify lists or YouTube videos on their articles, for example.
So we had somebody who created a YouTube video to do all the pronunciation for his in-world terminology. Or somebody who created a YouTube video because he'd written a song as part of his article and he wanted to be able that the reader could not just read the words of the song, but really hear the song. So he created a YouTube video and just embedded it within the article.
Yeah.
30-second song.
And of course, for example, if you are playing a campaign, don't forget that every time you finish a session, if you were playing over Twitch, for example, you can always very easily just link the Twitch URL or the YouTube URL of the session, and it will be on the list of the sessions you have from your campaign.
Yeah, so you have like full documentation within World Anvil of the sessions you've done.
Yeah, the journals that the players have written, and the reports that you've written, the video or anything else, and of course all the notes that you hit for the session.
Zareth Gavin wants a World Anvil t-shirt.
We have a bit of news on that. We will be announcing it soon enough, but we are very happy to say that we just finished an amazing cooperation with a very talented artist, and we have created the first World Anvil official, let's say, heraldry or crest or logo or however you want to say it. There will be something coming very soon.
We made a thing,
and we are very excited about it.
Can you say who the artist is?
I guess we can.
We can. Yeah.
Devin Rue.
Devin Rue. Yes, we've had her on the show. She's great.
Yeah, Devin was actually in your show. Yeah, and we love her. She's
amazing.
Yes.
Is she using World Anvil and creating over there?
Actually, not only. First of all, Devin is one of our honorable world builders. She's using World Anvil to build her own world. In addition to that, Devin ran her own competition, and she's awarding badges to people who win their competition every month. Yeah. We're in very close relationship with you.
Just to be clear, the competitions she was running are world building competitions within, like, for her world in World Anvil.
So she challenges people to write characters for her world. And
so she did NPCs last time.
Yeah, and she awards memberships for World Anvil to the people who win the competitions.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It is.
Mighty Hobbs wants to know, when you implement random tables, will you have tables that can roll other tables, which can then roll further tables?
Yes.
Tableception!
Yeah, I actually have it in front of me. Let me see if I can find it. Yes, it's here, and it says that you can actually link a table to roll another table after you roll. No, yes, you can. So you will have, for example, your multi-level. Let's say that you roll, first of all, for what kind of item you found, how precious or how rare it is, and then from that you can go to the table for the specific rarity tables, and then from that you can go to specific item type, and then from that you can go to specific item. Yes, you could. And you will be able to roll any type of table, any type of dice. You won't be restricted by a D100. It can be D97 for all I care.
You are a mad genius. Did I tell you that recently? No. Mad genius.
Absolutely. So, do you have dice rolling apps built in, or will you? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, part of the campaign manager. Okay, let me do an introduction to you because that will be important. When we build a campaign manager, we wanted to think how people are actually using a campaign and what do they do, and we split it down into 3 major parts. The first part is preparing, which is you creating your ideas, creating your world, putting your players in, creating character sheets, and having your session ready. Then you have the point that you are in your session, at which point in World Anvil you have your own digital dungeon master screen. that gives you instant access to everything you've written. It gives you the ability to keep notes on the fly. It gives you the ability to see all the character sheets of your players, of your NPCs, of your monsters, the stat blocks of every monster, essentially, you've ever created yourself, or they're in the SRD. We do have the full SRD for D&D 5th edition, which I'm really proud of. We've
got other ones coming.
Yes.
But 5e was the first one to start
And
with.
it's completed.
Incidentally, you can also send private notes to your players if your players are participating within World Anvil, and you can also share things like handouts.
To your players specifically.
If you're like, you meet this guy, and then you share a picture.
Yeah.
And then everybody can just see it. It's really easy rather than sort of trying to hand something around a table.
Especially if you're online, it's harder.
Particularly.
So World Anvil, essentially at this point, the easiest way to say that if you're playing online, it is like the DM screen to your virtual tabletop. So if you were playing over Roll20, your tabletop is what the players see and what you show to your players. World Anvil is your Dungeon Master screen, giving you access to everything you've ever written, all the information you need for your world, and also dice rolling. But the trick is that it doesn't have to be online. You can use it with your laptop behind your screen, as simple as that, and have access to everything you want. And then after the session, after you wrote your notes, after you read through your plot, if you're a kind of person who writes plots for your campaigns, you can read through the notes that you've written. Your players can write journals, and they will be posted underneath the session in the public campaign page for your world. And you can write your report for your session as well, so you remember next time what happened and how you can actually do it.
Who ate whom.
And that's what the campaign manager is. These three tools working separately but together to help you out as a storyteller.
So do you guys have any integration, or are you working on any integration with the VTTs?
We have two people we are planning to work very closely with, and because they are also in beta, we're waiting for people to reach specific milestones. Specifically, we're working very closely with Dungeon Fog. If you've heard of it, it's a very beautiful application. It had a Kickstarter some years ago. The guys, I think they're about to launch officially in the days to come in a German big expo.
Ooh.
And we are working closely with Power VTT as well, which is a different application that right now focuses more in 5th edition, but I'm pretty sure that Tom actually wants to expand in other games as well. And we are planning in the future, of course, to go as far as we can to create integrations with the major systems like Fantasy Grounds, which we already are in talks with some of the plugin builders for them, and of course Roll20, because we're using it as well. So,
right, exactly.
Yeah, Power VTT, he actually lives right down the street from me.
Really?
Oh,
well,
really?
by down the street, I mean like, an hour and a half away.
Down the street, American style.
Yeah.
But Tom is an amazing developer, actually, and we feel very close to him as a team because he is one-man team. And you know what I mean? We have to stick together as rogues in there.
There you go. Charles Cole wants to know, will you have World Anvil tokens available, like for inspiration and such?
Tokens? What kind of tokens are you talking about?
Well, he said inspiration, like to give out to players, I guess.
Oh, I see.
Oh, well, that's interesting, actually. We are building, actually, we're not building, but it's one of the features that the community, that our team will be building, will be achievement awards. And that will be achievement awards that you take for your progress during your world building, but also there will be achievement awards that the storyteller will be able to award to their players. So, for example, level up achievement award, or for example, completion of a major arc achievement award, these kind of things. Because I want at some point to create a public character page that will be almost like a social media Facebook or Twitter page for your character. So you can actually show, you say, here you are, that's my character, that's their story they've done so far, the campaigns and sessions they played, and these are all the achievements they achieved essentially so far.
Cool. So it's like, it's a way to, advance the players more so than the characters.
Yeah, of course. It's about actually taking pride on the achievements that you've done as a player, because you know what? Everybody, whoever played Storytellers or became a player so far, want to remember of the beautiful places they've been and all the beautiful things they've done and all the amazing stuff they've done, like killing a dragon, for example.
The other thing is that if you talk to a D&Der, one of the first things they'll say is, I remember the time when I was playing A, and then they'll tell you a story about that character that they played, which had a really great hook or an accent or a funny hat or like some really great quirk. And like you can have a nice anecdote about it. That's cool. But how cool would it be if you could like be like, and here he is. This is what he looked like. This is all the crazy stuff we did. Do you remember when we licked the dragon? And then he'll have like a lick the dragon achievement award or something.
Potentially. I don't know if that would be something that potentially.
Maybe too specific.
Yeah.
As an example, the holy orb of cat bum.
Right next to the licking the dragon.
Right next to the licking the dragon achievement award. Yeah.
You know,
it's gonna have a strange closet.
You know, it's gonna be an interesting character if you see those two awards together somewhere.
All right, now I want to check out Janet's campaign and see what's going on with it. Is that that sounds like if it's not in the red light district, it sounds very close.
I only played crazy characters recently, though.
Yeah.
I only played completely nuts characters.
You're currently playing an elf in my world, which is a bit different.
That sees music.
Yeah, so there are elves, and the elves have a specific type of magic, which is very music-oriented. They don't see magic and don't feel magic as everybody else. They perceive it as music and vibration. So her character, every single point, if she doesn't talk to somebody, probably she's staring into the nothingness, listening to the music of the world. So
I spent 20 minutes stroking leaves at one point.
Yes.
For example.
Janet things.
Janet things.
Yeah.
Well, there was no dragons around the lick, so what are you gonna do?
Exactly. So I just had to stroke some leaves. She is Manic Pixie Dream Elf, but she's quite fun to play.
Yeah. Very
on that note, we're coming right up on the hour mark. What do you guys want to leave with people with that are watching?
Would like to say that if you are a world builder or a storyteller and you would like to build your world in World Anvil, we'll be more than happy to have you here. And if you have any ideas or thoughts or ways you can actually do it, make it better and help you do your thing better, we'll be more than happy to listen. And that, first of all, we are very thankful to Nerdarchy for all the love and support we got from you for such a long time now, and that we would love to, be here again and talk again and nerd out together.
Yay!
Well, we are all about people that are doing cool things in the hobby and furthering the community and building it. So we're more than happy to have you guys on. I know Nate and Kenyatta have been using the World Anvil in their world building things they've been doing over on Twitch.
It is actually very funny because they are writing their deities on the world and actually, currently, the Masters
monthly challenge is deities.
Is deities. So today in the morning, when I saw the YouTube they had yesterday, the live they had yesterday night, I went to the community and said, guys, these people are doing exactly about the thing that you're writing right now. Check it out, because it was so amazingly
on point.
On point, yeah.
Nice. So with that, I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me today, and for everyone that's been watching. It's been very informative and fun, of course. You guys are always great to have on. So until next time, stay nerdy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.